Questions for Coach Lee?
What's the level of concern about the pass defense kind of looking like last year when, keeping in mind that all the guys were out, a lot of key players?
Well, I think I said this the other day, we got to take time and space on the perimeter. It wasn't so much, some of the holding and sloppiness that way, we got to clean up. To me, it's eliminating time and space on the perimeter. It's leveraging the ball on the perimeter, and the breakout touchdowns are an issue. Now, we're going to return Jalen and DeRicky and CJ and even Bryce and Ugo. I mean, we got a lot of guys that are out, and so. But independent of that, it doesn't matter who's on the field. Those are things we need to do. So, what is that? That's process oriented. That's time and space. That's eyes, alignment, leverage, post snap reactions. And I think it's particularly exposed when you have the true freshmen out there in the field overhang, and they're just reacting to the ball thrown. So we got some work to do that way, and that was disappointing, but we'll get there. I've got confidence in that.
How concerning are the injuries on defense? Just because there's so many at this point,
yeah.
Is this something you feel like
clear
itself up here?
It will clear up, and those, the guys I just mentioned, those are soft tissue, and they're right now. This is more precautionary, but I don't feel good about it. I mean, we have to take a look back at our process and say, how did we deliver them into training camp, and what are the things that we need to do? Obviously, for them to all tip on the defensive side, I think is there's just something there we need to be paying attention to. So that's what we're doing. Nothing we can do about what's happened now, but feel good that they'll be back, and those guys feel good now. We just with anything hamstring related, you want to make sure before you're out running around that it's healthy, and that's what we're doing with them.
If today was Hawaii, how many of those guys would have played?
Well, probably all of them. Christian James being the exception. I say that just to say, if today were Hawaii, we would have had them ramping up through the week and been at least in a position to have role or player load or rep count, but they would have played today.
With Trudell Berry, I feel like he's had a good camp overall. When he has, when he struggles in a scrimmage, I guess, what's the message to him, considering,
That it's the next day in preparation, and I think as a corner especially, you have to have the ability to play through the bad days, and there's learning in that. I mean, just thinking back on the 2nd and 1, the PI. I mean, it's 2nd and 1, and they're on the fringe of the red zone, and everyone in the stadium knows that ball's going up. So I'm going to anticipate it. I'm going to play through my technique. I'm not going to panic. And there's just learning in that. And the other part of it is, for a young player, that there can never be a lapse in that level of focus. So today, it was a hotter day. We were out in the elements. We're going to look back and see where did that rob us of process? Where do we need to be tougher? And in that way, it's just, again, this is kind of a part of our building of the team.
Trade-off on defense is the quarterbacks made those throws, and AJ hardly any misses today. I mean, how do you feel about the offensive execution, especially the quarterbacks in the passing game?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, as we're evolving forward, I mean, we like our perimeter skill, and even defensively, when you are covering fast people and quick people, you learn your deficiencies earlier, right? So we have way more of a bearing of where we need to solidify defensively, but we like our perimeter skill. We like it funneling through the quarterback position. We want to see the run game established. I did think defensively, like we had some good boxes and made it hard for them. But this is an offensive line that's blocked for a 1,000-yard rusher in this league. We need to set our mind to establish a physical run game and be able to do it. I wanted to see that in the second half of the scrimmage, particularly as the day wore on. I think that's, just like any heavyweight fighter, that's when you're going to start to, be able to push and move the opponent. Credit to the defense that they stayed stout. And again, what was exposed is the plays were available on the perimeter, and offense took those. And that's both who we are and where we are, but also gives us information that we can use to move forward.
Feels like your receiving core
Commodores shown up just about every day in camp. I'm not seeing the ball on the ground a lot. You're going 8, 9 deep with guys making plays. How happy are you with that group right now, and how much have they progressed from a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the makeup of our offense a year ago this time, I mean, we were trying to run the triple option around the field, honestly. I mean, it's, you know, we've come a long way, and that's, the game has evolved to, you know, the explosive plays are on the perimeter and over the top. And when you can do that, you have the chance to take control of a game offensively. When you can't, it's always those, you know, 12 to 15 play methodical drives where you really have to be perfect. Some of the great things today were, I saw tempo used to put pressure on the defense. I saw snap count used to put pressure on the defense. You know, it's can be psychological warfare at times. I think there's smart design in that, and then you have capable players. You know, the young guys flashed. London had the long catch on the RPO. Obviously, Junior had a good day. You know, Will Shepherd's had a great camp where we know what he brings to the table, and this isn't the day for him. You know, we're building up to a season for him, but I thought Quincy Skinner looked really good, and you know, Quincy's somebody that when you get it to him in open space, he's physical and he's fast enough. He can make one cut and run through tackles. That's going to be hard for anybody. I think a lot to build on there. You know, we just got to stay the course here and keep building the chemistry. And I think strength and play on the perimeter at receiver, strength and play at quarterback is a good recipe for us to have a better year offensively.
You started that with a kind of a joke about winning the triple option a year ago, and then your answer after that about all the guys that made plays, and you talked about the quarterbacks. Is that another way of saying we're designing the offense around the skill set of the guy we think will start under center?
Yeah, I think it's just the vision for the offense has always been, you know, how do we create an offense that can be explosive, that can score points, and you know, Coach Lynch and I both believe that play on the perimeter and play through the quarterback is a part of that. You know, and if you look back at our season last year, you know, we had early success, but you know, once teams kind of were able to overcommit to the box and they made it hard on us, we struggled to get the ball out on the perimeter, and that was where we had to adjust and adapt. And we found ways to move the ball and to win games, but we want there to be a more explosive nature to what we do. And again, I think that's just part of building a good football team, and we feel like we're making those strides, and that's been evidenced through camp to this point, certainly today.
Coach, did today allow you to evaluate the trenches a little bit deeper because of the physicality today?
I actually think those guys have been really pushing each other every day. I feel like we've gotten a good sense of play on both sides of the line. Certainly there are going to be things that show up today that give us a little better understanding over the course of a 100-play scrimmage or so. But you know, again, in all these, I mean, even next week, it'll still be just another kind of step in the process. So we don't want to go too far and draw on conclusions. I think today was the first time that we put on a scrimmage. You know, in some ways we looked refined, in some ways we looked like we got ways to go, and that's, you know, that's what teams do. Now we got to shift focus and find the problems to fix, whether they're in the interior, like I said, the establishing run game offensively. I thought there were times where we got some pass rush defensively, which was good to see. Again, I think we have a good offensive line. You know, defensively, time and space on the perimeter becomes, to me, the name of the game. And if you're reacting to the ball thrown and chasing it down, you're gonna run into problems. And we have that perimeter weaponized now, where, you know, our guys can make us pay too.
What's the status of Matt Abel?
So Matty is just dealing with a family issue, and you know, anytime, gosh, I mean, a guy that's halfway around the world from his family, he needed to get back and see about his dad, and we needed to support that. And so obviously we love Matt. Matt is just such an important part of our program, and his family's our family, and when he hurts, we hurt. And he'll be back, you know, but right now he's where he needs to be, and we're behind him and with him.
So he's in Australia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Clark, any thoughts on the latest realignment shift in college football?
Oh, you know, it's one of the great skills I have is like I live under a rock. I understand that the tides are changing, and I'll say that I mentioned this the other day, but I'm really I'm glad to be a charter member of the SEC. I'm glad to have Commissioner Sankey leading our conference. I'm glad to have the stability that we have, so that I really don't spend much of my day worrying about any of that. I'm pretty well focused on our team and our schedule and what we can do to get the most out of this program. And I think for everyone's sake, that's where my focus needs to be.
But if you could just separate yourself for a second, just as a general college football fan, as you grew up a college football fan,
Yeah.
look at it. What do you think?
We're in a transitional stage here, and I think I made comment. I think Chris, you asked the other day about the Pac-12, and obviously I was a part of that league. That's a big, proud tradition, and in some ways as a fan it's hard to see, but I also understand this again as a transitional point, and I think this all nets out in a model where we're doing the best we can to meet the needs of the student athletes, and also creating national standards for competitive national championship. That's the goal, and there are a lot of people working towards that. And like I said, I every time I have the chance to spend time with Commissioner Sankey, listen to him talk about his vision and the direction of our league and how it fits into the broader, I'm blown away by those big picture conversations. I'm excited for what the future holds for college football, but most importantly to me, I'm excited about the future of Vanderbilt football, and that's where I put my attention every day. Is that good enough?
Yes,
That's the best I can do.
I'll push you a little bit. I appreciate it.
Without singling out a particular school, I mean, you've got some schools that are without a home right now. Do you get a little bit of flurry of guys maybe you recruited that committed to other places that start calling you and looking around at a time like this?
Honestly, Chris, I'm empathetic to just the idea that as you're trying to prepare for a season, you have the ground shifting underneath you. I hurt for those programs that don't have the certainty. And I think the rest of it is for conversations down the road. I'm so singularly focused on this team, but I can step back enough to say, I know that's got to be really challenging, and there's some great coaches and great programs, and I know it'll all settle too, right? This is all a part of something bigger, but I am pulling for those players and those coaches and those programs with everything I have, because all of those places deserve to have healthy, sound, solid football programs, and I'll be excited for them when the ground settles and they have clear vision for themselves too.
All set.
Thank you.
Good.